Hello, everybody. Welcome to our presentation. We are Moonchild Counseling, and we're going to talk about when to worry, spotting the differences between typical teen struggles and warning signs. So, I'm Samantha Goland, licensed clinical social worker supervisor. I see teenagers 15 and up who want to work through anxiety, trauma, stress-related symptoms, utilizing a somatic and trauma approach.
Hey everyone, I'm Natasha Cooley. I'm the licensed professional counselor associate here at Moonchild. I see clients ages 8 and up who are seeking support for anxiety, life transitions, and stress-related concerns.
And this is Archie and Lady. There are certified therapy dogs who enjoy cuddles, kisses, and of course, our clients. So you may see our video turn off at this time. It's just to prevent distractions while we present on this information. And so we are Moonchild overall, Moonchilds at heart. We really utilize a grounded, human, and validating approach. We work with our clients especially through trauma-informed and somatic approach, really being mindful of that mind-body connection. And we support teens, young adults, and women through all life transitions. So why is this topic important? So this topic is really important because we see this with our parents of teens. Overall, in our work, we see parents of teens asking, is this normal? Is this not normal? When do I worry? When do I not worry? When do we need to take more action? And so we really navigate these conversations on a daily basis with a lot of our families that we work with.
Nowadays, I would say parenting a teen, what we would say can feel very much like walking a tightrope. You might find yourself wondering what's normal, what's not normal, and what might be a red flag. So hopefully by the end of this presentation, our goal is to provide some clarity on those.
So, normal teen struggles. We call this the green zone. So, of course, this first liner, I can imagine a lot of you parents have noticed in your teen, regardless of what age they are in high school or even a preteen, right? So, moodiness, irritability, we might see this a lot where you're getting one word answers. Maybe they're ignoring you with them being on their phone. Maybe they're frustrated if you're calling their attention. I mean, of course, we would love for this to change over time, but know that this is pretty typical for a teen. Also, pretty typical is craving independence. And so we might see teens gear more towards their friends, asking their friends for advice versus parents, and really trying to find their own footing. And so, of course, this comes with forming their own identity, whether that's getting more into sports, activities, hobbies, or just other activities in general. And so maybe you might see a change of wardrobe, interest, music taste, but knowing that this is pretty typical. And stress over school, friends, and sports, yes. So I'm sure you all have seen this overall, whether they're in very difficult classes, there's friend drama, sports that are taking a lot of their overall time. It is a stressful period. And as we have known just in general, I mean, what teens are going through nowadays is pretty different than what we've seen in the past years. And so knowing that this overall stress or heightened stress is a little bit more typical for our everyday teen today. The occasional sleep changes, I mean, this could be due to phones or other distractions, but knowing that their sleep can change when they're a teen, maybe they're wanting to sleep in more during the weekends, maybe they're struggling to get up more for school, but knowing that this is pretty typical. Of course, if this becomes a habit where they're not sleeping well, then that might be more of our yellow zone, which we're going to get into.
So signs to watch closely for here in the yellow zone. You'll want to notice any drops in their grades or personal interests, withdrawing from friends and family, sleeping or eating changes, frequent headaches and stomach aches. It could be some examples of somatic issues you might see. And this one's really important, the negative self-talk and or big emotional responses to situations.
So these are our clear warning signs, what we call the red zone. So, of course, if your teen is talking about death or suicide with their friends or with yourself or their siblings, this is something where, this might be a time where we have to take action or you reach out to a mental health professional. At these times, we'll get into it a little bit later, but this is a time where open, honest communication is going to be important. And then, of course, to whether that's collaboratively with your teen to take action or parents themselves, really deciding what are the next steps that we need to take. Self-harm behavior. We have seen this with teens, whether they're in the red zone or yellow zone. Typically, when self-harm comes about is when a teen doesn't have healthy coping strategies, and so they might resort to self-harm behaviors in those opportunities. Knowing that this, of course, can be a crisis if it's actively happening for long periods of time. Again, with all of these concerns, we're going to encourage you to talk to a mental health professional. Giving away possessions is a huge red flag. If something is of value, important to your teen, and they're actively giving it away, this might be a sign that they have a plan to go through with a very severe self-harm behaviors or suicide. Extreme mood swings, of course, like we said in the beginning, mood swings are pretty typical for a teen, but these are the very big ups and downs that aren't going to be typical for your teen. Of course, like as professionals, we're going to encourage you as parents to trust your gut and really, your teen best. And so if this is not typical, knowing that, this is a time when maybe additional help might be warranted. Hopelessness. We do see this with teens where maybe if they're really stressed out, they might be hopeless about the future or if they're going to get through it. But that looks different than severe hopelessness where they really have no hope that things are going to get better. And maybe they are not seeing past today, this week, into the future. So knowing, again, that's going to be a time where additional help is going to be important.
So here are some points of what we as parents can do to support our teens in any of these situations. The first thing we want to do is stay calm and listen. So you really want to use those active listening skills. Next, you'll want to validate feelings and take action as you see fit. You'll also want to ask direct questions. So making sure we're being very clear about certain statements or behaviors that we might be noticing. And lastly, connecting to support, always a great idea, whether that's personal support, professional support, support at school, or in various other settings. And of course, we don't want to forget that the most important thing is to take care of you as a parent. We can't pour from an empty cup. So we really want to make sure we're staying on top of noticing our own stress. We are also leaning on our support systems during stressful times, major life transitions, different things that might be going on at home, at school, with schedules, work. All of those things are very much related to the stress in the home. And last but not least, the most important is model the behavior that you'd like to see. So we want to be mindful of modeling those coping skills that we very much want to see our teens and kiddos utilizing themselves.
So this is our safety plan. We typically do this with teens or families who are coming in with concerns of suicidal thoughts or suicidal actions. So we thought it would be best to show you all what this might look like. And so, of course, you can take some of these points and maybe utilize them at home as well. So first part of that safety plan is the warning signs that a crisis might be developing. And so this is a question that we might ask the teen. What thoughts, images, mood, situation, or behaviors gives you a sign that you might want to self-harm, have suicidal thoughts, or maybe take action on those thoughts? The internal coping strategies. And so this is what the teen can do themselves. So the question we ask is, what are the things that you can do to take your mind off of, let's say, the suicidal thoughts without contacting another person? And so this is before we ask for help or before we speak to another human being. So this might be listening to music, journaling, breathing techniques, maybe grounding techniques as well, whatever feels like the best approach for that teen. Next part of that section is people or social settings that can provide distractions. Again, this is before we ask for help. And so typically teens might put their siblings or parents or friends. For social settings, maybe they put a safe place in their home. A lot of the times, teens might put their family room or places where there are other people. And then the last two sections of this is people whom I can ask for help. And so this is when crisis is already happening. Who can I ask for help in this moment? That might be a trusted adult. This can be a parent, sibling, another family member, somebody who's going to help them get the support or help that they need. And then lastly, making the environment safe. And so, of course, if we're already creating this plan, we might encourage parents to put away sharp objects, lock up medicine. But again, this might be typical to the teen. So doing what is best for your teen and the situation that is arising. So the key takeaways, I know we've said this already through our presentation, but of course, with these three stages, the green zone, yellow zone, red zone, not all struggles are going to be a crisis, right? Maybe something in the green zone, we're not going to do what we might in the red zone. And so knowing your teen is what's going to be your ally here, knowing the difference, right? So if we're seeing huge differences in your teen's behavior that is not typical, well, then maybe that is a moment again to ask questions, listen, take action, checking in if something feels off. You know your teen best. So if something doesn't feel right, making sure that you're checking in with them. And then, of course, overall, trusting your gut is going to be very important in this moment, taking the steps that is needed to keep your teen safe. So these are our resource pages. These are some national numbers and, of course, local ones as well. Reaching out to your school counselor, nurses, doctors. And then these are some apps as well that you can utilize for your teen. Calm is a great one, Headspace, Smiling Mind, Mood Fit, and then this parenting book from Dr. Becky Kennedy that gives good resources for a parent as well. And so connecting with us, this is our local number. This is our email as well. And so if you call or email us, you're going to reach either Natasha or myself. And then, of course, we're on social media. We offer just some fun content just in general, but of course, some information for teens and parents as well. So yeah, if you want to contact Natasha or I'm typically working with teenagers and young adults and women online. And then Natasha, if you want to say a little bit about your availability as well.
Yes, of course. So I will actually be seeing new clients beginning next month. So in the beginning of October, if you are looking for after school spots, I always know those are popular with our high school clients. You can feel free to reach out. The first step would be filling out one of our forms for a consult request. From there, we'll typically conduct about a 15 to 20-minute call, which is free, no charge, to just discuss your presenting concerns. Any questions that you might have, feel free to reach out to us. Even if you didn't want to go ahead and get a session scheduled, we're happy to answer any questions you have. And from that point, move forward with whatever treatment plan we would see fit at that point. But if you are looking for session availability, I would say beginning of October for my personal schedule.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us here. We will be taking any questions at this time and we will close out the presentation. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.